drop of a dime, and it's very important to get it up to date and as it comes out. So we'll be sharing that with you in just a few minutes, but I'm going to send it back to you guys and set up for you guys to see what the mayor and some other local leaders are saying. Back to you. Okay, thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us. As you all know all too well at this point, we are anticipating a major and dangerous winter storm, a Super Bowl of winter storms heading our way. This is a once-in-decades event, and I need everyone in the community to take action now to help us all stay safe. Columbus Snow Warriors have been gearing up for this storm for days. We are anticipating 10 to 14 inches of snow or more. These are now snow accumulation totals we haven't seen for at least a decade. Snow will fall for 24 to 36 straight hours once it starts tonight. That means once our drivers plow our main roadways and state routes we service, we'll have to do it over again and may not be able to get to feeder or residential streets for some time. This is serious. For your safety, I urge you to take action now. If you haven't already, go pick up some groceries, cancel your plans, and stay home. Our snow warriors will work around the clock to service our streets, but with this storm, they'll need to hit priority 1 streets multiple times for the first 24 to 48 hours. Even priority routes will be passable, but not perfect. And given the high snow totals expected, it may be Tuesday or Wednesday before we're able to turn our full attention to cities' collector and residential streets. Please follow the sheriff's emergency levels as they're announced. In a level 2, do not drive unless you absolutely must. In a level 3, only emergency vehicles are permitted on the roads. It is very possible we could see a level 3 snow emergency in the coming day. Please also prepare for the extreme cold. We know after this major winter storm, we will have several days of very dangerous cold weather. These sub-freezing temperatures, we don't want anyone out on the streets, living off the land. We don't want anyone to be turned away from shelter or our warming centers. And we build in that capacity, and Shannon Isom from the Shelter Board will speak to that with more detail in just a few minutes with all the options available to folks. I urge anyone staying outside, please come inside. No one should be out in this deadly cold temperatures that we're expecting over the coming days. And I ask you to care for one another. Prioritize safety by staying home during the storm whenever possible. Please park vehicles off-street whenever possible. Please shovel sidewalks, and as you're able, help with other pathways for the walking safety of our neighbors, mail carriers, and delivery personnel, and avoid shoveling snow back onto the street. This is really important. All of us are part of the team now. We're all snow warriors as we battle this winter storm together. We're all part of Team Columbus, and everybody has a role to play. Get out today, get what you need. Don't overbuy. We don't need to induce panic or, buy everything under the sun. Get what you need for the next couple of days. I know I'm picking up milk and eggs and bread and stuff today. And get home by dinner time and stay home and plan on staying home for at least the next day or two to let our snow warriors do what they do and to keep everybody safe. It's my pleasure to introduce our Public Service Director, Kelly Stockton.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you so much. You have been so supportive of our snow operations, and I really appreciate all of the dedication that you have had for our city. When our snow warriors say that this storm event is different, this weekend's storm is the prime example of that. Columbus has not seen this amount of snow, as the mayor said, for over 24 hours for so long. I mean, potentially maybe 2008 is when the last time we got at least 10 inches of snow. So if we hit that 10-inch mark, it's been since 2008. Nonetheless, we are prepared. Chief Snow Warrior Scott Torville, who will be coming up here in a few minutes, and his team have monitored the snow's tracking for days. Our plow trucks and equipment are prepped. 12 shifts are set to plow drivers to work around the clock, and we've mobilized available city auxiliary staff and private contractors to assist with plowing throughout Columbus. So we are fully staffed and we are ready to go. It will be a challenge to plow when it's snowing, but our trucks will keep at it, plowing up and down the major arterial roadways and state routes we service. We'll keep it going. Once the snow stops, our plows will be able to make more headway. So let's talk about that. During the snowstorm, we might be there in front of your house with our plows. 2 hours later, you probably will not notice that we've been there. We are going to try to stay ahead of it, but we're talking 8 to 12 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow over a sustained amount of time, 36 hours potentially. So we will be over there. We'll be on multiple roads, passing multiple times, but that snow will keep coming. It will keep accumulating, so you may not see that progress. We will keep at it, though. We need the community's patience. Plowing this anticipated amount of snow on a 4,600 lane miles. 4,600 lane miles is what the city of Columbus has to maintain. These city streets will take time to get cleared. We will need to ensure our main roads and state routes that carry the most traffic are made safe and passable first. So we are going to be focusing on those main streets, like a Broad Street or a High Street. Some of the state routes that we maintain, US 33, 104, State Route 315, that's a major route that we maintain as the city of Columbus. So we are going to be focusing on those main routes that get to our medical centers, that get to major employment centers. But we will also have that auxiliary staff, and we'll have that the contractors heading into our lesser traveled roads and into the neighborhoods as soon as we possibly can. So after the snow happens, or after the snow is done, that's when we're really going to need the community's patience, because we're going to keep up with the snow as much as we possibly can, but as it is snowing, it's going to continue to accumulate, and we're going to try to, get ahead of it, but that's a lot of snow we're going to be dealing with. So we it's going to take us a good 24 hours. So we're talking into Tuesday before we're really making a lot of headway with up to 12 inches of snow. The goal is to achieve this sometime Monday, as I said, but before we can pivot fully to the plowing on our collector and residential streets, that means passable, not perfect roadways. You need to go slow, give space between you and the next vehicle, and please give our trucks room to work. The extreme cold temperatures will stick around for at least the rest of January, so we're talking all of next week. It's a hurdle. Mother Nature will not help us with melting the snow, so if we get up to a foot of snow, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. These temperatures in single digits in teens create operational challenges for our team here at the City of Columbus. Salt and brine lose effectiveness to prevent snow and ice from bonding to the roadway and pavement. So here's some examples. A drop in temperatures means a drop in effectiveness. At 30 degrees, 1 pound of salt will melt about 46 pounds of ice. At 20 degrees, 1 pound will melt about 9 pounds of ice. And when temperatures drop further into the single digits, where we're going to be this week, that 1 pound of salt will only melt 4 pounds of ice. So at 30, we're talking we can melt with 1 pound of salt, 46 pounds of ice. In the single digits, we're talking 4 pounds of ice with 1 pound of salt. So we'll pivot to mixtures of salt, beet juice, calcium chloride materials to treat the roadways. They are more effective, but they take longer and require greater amounts to work on snow-covered and slick streets. So again, we really need the patience. Safety is going to be our priority. It always is. For residents, commuters, and our snow warriors, stay off the roads if you can. Otherwise, don't crowd the plow and give our trucks plenty of space to operate. And I'll reiterate some of the points that the mayor said. If you can get your trucks or cars into a garage or into your driveway, please do that. If we can get them off the city streets, that is really helpful to our snow operations to help clear those streets. So the message here, is pack your patience. Drive cautiously and keep in mind that we'll be working 24/7 throughout this storm to keep Columbus residents safe and to get these streets plowed. Conditions will be challenging, but we are committed to getting the job done. And I encourage the residents to go to warriorwatch.columbus.gov to keep track of our progress. And now I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Snow Warrior, Scott Torville.
Thank you, Director, Mayor. Good morning. As mentioned, this is a very serious event. Very, very heavy snow. At the end of the day, this is likely to be a top 5 or top 10 event in Columbus snowfall history. So we will be using a full call out, not only of our internal street maintenance staff, but as many of our auxiliary drivers as we can get and all of our contracted staff as well. Our street maintenance crews will spend the majority of tomorrow and well into Monday focused primarily on our P1, our arterial roadways. As Director Scocco mentioned, those are the higher speed, higher volume roadways, your Polaris Parkways, Sawmill, the major streets in downtown, Front, Broad, High, Nationwide, those types of streets. Our auxiliary and contractor staff will be used to supplement those resources as well as begin services on over 3,000 miles of Priority 2 collector streets and Priority 3 local streets. Again, that's 3,000 miles of those local neighborhood streets alone that we have to service. Those auxiliary staff are made up of men and women from Rec and Parks, Building and Zoning, Code Enforcement, the Department of Neighborhoods, and other groups within public service that help us drive the smaller pickup trucks that are effective in the neighborhoods. They will be out in full force, but again, with over 3,000 miles to go, long-term heavy snowfall, it will be a while before the roadways really clear up. Also need to give a shout out and a thank you to our fleet department. We couldn't do this without them and the fact that we are able to put so many trucks on the road to service all of us and all of our residents. During and immediately after the storm, again, we want to reiterate, the goal is passable, not perfect. Your travel times will be impacted. The roads will be slick. The roads will not be clean for a number of hours or even days, depending on what road after the storm. As mentioned, you can follow our progress at warriorwatch.columbus.gov to see when a truck was most recently on the street or streets that you're looking to travel to. Also, as mentioned, the long-term cold, it's going to have a real adverse impact on our snow removal efforts. Director Scocco mentioned the lack of effectiveness or the reduced effectiveness of the salt. So that just means more time for us to respond and a bigger effort for us to achieve the same results that we can achieve at temperatures that are closer to 25 or 30. So again, we really, really, really want to stress that patience. Roads are absolutely going to be impacted Sunday, Monday, well into Tuesday, and in the middle of the week between the heavy snow and the extreme temperatures. This is a fantastic opportunity to be a great neighbor. Check on those who may need a little extra care, the elderly, right? When you are shoveling, please, please, please do not throw that snow in the street. That's just more snow that we have to clear. That's impacting the roadways, all right? So throw it off the side into the yard. As mentioned before, please park off the street. If you're unable to not park on the street, get as tight to the curb as you possibly can. These plow trucks are very, very large, and it really slows us down, or it's not uncommon for us to have streets that we literally can't fit down because there's so many cars and they're parked so far away from the curb. So anything that you can do to get vehicles off the streets or as tight to the curb as possible is greatly appreciated. If you are out, please give yourself extra safe stopping distance, extra time to get to where you need to be. All right, steer clear of the plows. These are very, very large vehicles. They don't turn well. They take a long time to slow down or stop. So please respect those snow warriors. Give them plenty of space to work. And as mentioned before as well, respect the county sheriff's snow emergency levels. Those are serious. Those are warnings. And again, when we're in a level 2 snow emergency, you should not be on the roads unless you absolutely have to. Okay. So again, we really, really want to stress that. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Shannon Isom from the Community Shelter Board to talk more about the weather.
Community Shelter Board has been thinking about our most marginalized populations year after year. So even as this storm ends, we are on to the next, figuring out how does the city and how does our region react to our most vulnerable populations. Many of you, I'm sure, have questions of what are people are going to do who are outside, who are in their cars or have destabilized housing. We've thought about this, and we have a response to this. So Community Shelter Board shares with the mayor, shares with the city of Columbus with the urgency and the seriousness of this storm. The safest place over the next 48 hours is inside, and we have flexed our space that no one will be turned away. Just 2 days ago, more than 300 volunteers came together within this community for the point-in-time count, which we do every year. We had more people than ever fanning out and counting those that were on the land. This is a HUD-mandated count, but for this community, it is a collective effort to say, how do we get a snapshot of who is experiencing homelessness on any given night? So this storm, we're prepared for. But it also makes very clear that our neighbors, our community neighbors are in imminent risk. And not just the snow. And we have heard that the cold will continue, and it is the cold that Community Shelter Board and our nonprofit partners think about. It is the cold that is the most risky. So if you are currently outside and you see us, please know that help is available. There is nothing that you could ask us that we haven't already thought of, and so we strongly encourage you to call and to come inside. Likewise, the fastest way to get connected to our shelter or any of our resources is by calling our homeless hotline. That is on the city's website as well as the Community Shelter Board's website. That number, if you're listening, is 614-274-7000. If you do not have access to a phone, we encourage you to walk into a shelter, and we have 24-hour, 7 days access, which is through Third Shift Warming and Cooling Center, which is on 1015 East Main Street. Our Brother's Keeper is also 24 hours, and South and Parsons Avenue, likewise, is 24 hours. For a complete, though, and up-to-date list, we ask that you go to www.csb.org. If you see someone outside that is in danger, please call the homeless hotline rather than intervene on your own. This is a moment where preparation and compassion matter. Again, I know we're all thinking about our most vulnerable populations, so we are grateful for the city's leadership. We are grateful for our partners who are working 24 hours a day to ensure that our community members have access. We are thankful for the media who is making sure that people also have access to these resources to keep people safe within this winter storm. There is no one, I want to implore, there is no one that should be out in this cold. We've been thinking about you, and we have a place for you.
Thank you, Shannon. Thanks for your continued partnership. Open it up to any questions from the press.
How many crews do you guys have working throughout the entire weekend, shift by shift? Are you able to give any numbers?
Right to it.
I figured I should have just stayed up. Yeah, so full call out for us. So our numbers are certainly going to fluctuate again as those code enforcement officers have to go do their thing for their normal day jobs. We do anticipate a period of time tomorrow where we should be at or over 100 trucks for a good portion of the day tomorrow. And then again, as we get into the overnight hours, Sunday into Monday and Monday daytime, a lot of those auxiliary staff, they have to do their regular jobs to keep the other parts of the city functioning. So we'll be able to use them for a few hours here and there, either before their shift or after their shift. But the numbers on Sunday should be at or over 100 for most of the day, and then they'll be a little bit less than that as we get into the rest of the week.
Mayor Ginther, yesterday, DeWine warned that there might be fatalities, as a result of this storm, whether that's from traffic accidents or from unhoused people. Could you kind of speak a little bit more to the gravity of this situation and sort of whether people should even be on the roads right now?
Yeah, I'm, totally reinforced and appreciate the governor's leadership and messaging yesterday. I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a Super Bowl of winter storms. This is serious. This is not a drill. And we need people to take this seriously. We need people to get out today, to get just what they need for the next couple of days and plan on staying home. Cancel your plans Sunday, cancel your plans Monday. Stay home, stay safe, look out for your neighbors. You know, the information shared. We've been blessed as a city to make historic investments in the Community Shelter Board over the last 5 years to help prepare for crisis like this. And we really need everybody else to step up and be part of Team Columbus and the governor's message, Team Ohio. And we need everybody to take this seriously. We also know that our snow warriors need space and they need time. And that's why this collective effort is so important and why we need everybody to do their part.
Is anybody on staff that was on staff in 2008 went through this?
We do have a few folks that were on staff in March of 2008. You know, it's a great question in terms of, okay, do we have any experience in-house? I'll tell you, we have picked their brains about that event, not just over the last week, but over the last couple of years. You know, we have always been preparing for the worst, and those preparations for snow season start in May. And so even throughout the course of a summer, we're asking ourselves, okay, are our routes good? Where are we at with our equipment and training? What are we going to do, not if, but when we get a 10, a 12, a 15-inch snow event? How can we prepare it? Okay, what did we do in 2008? And so we have asked those questions for the last couple of years. We've got really good notes, and so we have at least a little bit of background information to use. And again, we've got some great plans in place, and we're ready.
I think I would add that we are prepared. We have plans in place to haul snow out of downtown if we need to. There are a few staff members that do remember having to haul snow out of downtown, so we are prepared to do that if we need to.
What's the salt situation look like?
We have more than enough salt, so we are well aware of some of the news out there regarding salt shortages. We are sitting on about 21,000 tons of salt. A typical season for us is about 15 to 20,000 tons of usage. So we have a full season's worth of salt. We have several orders placed that we're expecting to get delivered over the next week for a couple hundred tons here and there. And we have the ability on contract to buy several thousand more tons. So in terms of salt capacity, we have more than enough, again, for the entire season, and especially this event.
I know that you all mentioned it's going to take some time to get to those residential neighborhoods to make sure the main roads are clear. If there's any sort of emergency situation at someone's home, what does that process look like? Have you thought about plans on if an ambulance or police have to get to a residential area?
We've had several conversations over the last couple of days, and again, credit to the county EMA agencies, the National Weather Service. They do facilitate some regional calls. I was on a call yesterday with the county sheriff, some calls Thursday, Friday with Columbus Police and Fire, and we do have some procedures in place to provide them some assistance in the event that there's an issue and they're unable to get to a road.
And I did sign just yesterday an emergency authorization for an additional $100,000 for our private contractors that help us with residential areas. And obviously, we're going to continue to spend whatever it takes, but just asking for people's patience. It's going to take several days, but we're going to invest in resources there, just like we're investing with the Community Shelter Board to get folks. This is dangerous. I mean, back to the question you asked before. There are resources available. We don't want people outside. And so, again, use that information. If you see somebody that is outside this week in particular, please contact the Community Shelter Board to try to get some of our most vulnerable neighbors off the streets and inside where they belong.
Thinking about the storm from 22, that was obviously pretty severe, you know, a lot of ice, a lot of heavy. How is this one going to compare to that one? And in kind of, you alluded to this, you know, there might be a level 3 snow emergency. Is that something you're actively preparing for? Is that, you know, level of, you know, response?
So I'll start by saying I'm not recalling the specific storm that you mentioned.
Around Christmas time in 22, it was...
Oh, you remember that snore.
Oh, yes, that one. That one. Oh, yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
remember
My
that.
wife hasn't let me forget that one either. Love you. Yeah, so we are fully prepared. Again, we've coordinated with the sheriff on level 2, level 3. The county sheriff, myself, representatives from ODOT, Franklin County Engineer's Office. We talk early and often and throughout an entire event on coordinating and providing feedback to the sheriff on what we're seeing in regards to snow emergencies. In regards to preparations since that last event, I would like you to know that we've made a number of improvements. We didn't have a contractor program at that point in time. And again, as Mayor Ginther mentioned, we now have funding for 14 trucks around the clock from our contractor program. That's additional 14 trucks just like that. We didn't really have an auxiliary program, and so we've grown that program. And well into yesterday evening, I was scheduling over 70 volunteers from all those other departments, rec and parks, neighborhoods, other departments within public service, code enforcement. And so that's a whole bunch more extra resources that we're able to bring to bear for an event like this that we did not have at our disposal just 3 or 4 years ago.
I think I'd add that this is going to have quite a bit more snow than that event.
Yes.
That event had the extreme temperatures, and we had trucks full of salt just freezing. I mean, it was we had a lot of challenges.
The temperatures for that event were much more extreme in this event. I think in the days following, the highs were below 0. And so that was more extreme on the temperature side. I think the snow in that event was only 4 to 6 inches, only 4 to 6 inches, right? So we're going to have approximately twice as much snow, if not 3 times as much snow. And so that'll be a bigger part of this event. But again, we've made a lot of improvements over the last couple of years that we're very proud of, and we know allow us to provide better service. This is still going to be an incredibly challenging event, probably the most challenging event since the March of 2008 storm. And so again, we are prepared, but we do need that patience and that understanding that this is not something where, okay, it's done snowing at 4 a.m. Monday, here it is 6 o'clock Monday, why hasn't my street been cleared? Well, again, there's 4,600 miles that we have to get to. We have to go over each and every mile several times. We're not able to plow a full lane width because they're trucks, they have to fit inside the lane. So every mile really feels like 2, and then you got to go over it 3 and 4 times. It's going to be a massive effort for a number of days.
Speaking for a lot of parents that are probably watching right now, I know you're talking about Tuesday into Wednesday. Some streets still might be a little dicey. Have you guys been in communication with the schools about what to realistically plan for at all?
I think we've been doing everything we can to get the message out that this is not something where the impacts are going to be cleared up and addressed, and we're going to be back to normal on Monday afternoon.
I'm in regular contact. I know the team is as well with school districts, other partners, the county, suburban. There's a great deal of cooperation, regional cooperation, collaboration, and partnerships, obviously, with the states. We're going to continue to stay in contact, but I think it is, folks should start planning, that potentially there may not be school on Monday and maybe beyond that. But we're going to continue to communicate. That's obviously the district's call, and something we're going to continue to work with them on. But I think everybody ought to be making plans for a very different start to their week.
Many of the unhoused populations who will be going to these warming shelters, they're really oftentimes going to have to use the COTA buses.
Yes.
And with such a stream of snow coming in, is there any concerns for bus routes having to stop or be delayed, and how are you guys addressing that?
I would definitely speak to that, not just be the expert of what the buses are doing for COTA or speak for COTA, but from my understanding that COTA is going to continue to run, even looking over here, through an emergency 3. If for it, though, that we have any of our unsheltered, those who are experiencing unsheltered or living on the land or living in the car and they need to get somewhere, if you call that homeless hotline, we will guarantee transportation. So transportation should not be a barrier. We're thinking about that and we understand that. It should not be a barrier. I want to just note one thing since happened in 2022 that we've also have added is that those that are experiencing elements on the land and can't get anywhere else. In 2022, we did not have a community effort. We have now a community effort that whether you're north, south, east, or west, you have access. At one point in 2022, everyone had to go to Van Buren homeless shelter. Not anymore. Not anymore. The community is a part of this, and we are now having people that would have hunkered down on the land through this storm. And so we are seeing not only a community effort, but we're seeing the right resources for people who are in need, even with transportation. So thank you for that question.
And will law enforcement, like CPD or other city personnel, if they see someone out in the inclement weather, are they gonna try and make contact with them and see if they need help or anything like that?
Yeah, we're also really grateful for. We have ambassadors out there that are working regardless of storms that are connected to the resources. we have fire and safety and others that understand and by the way, know the people that are out there. And so we have really a community of people that are connected to this effort. When we have when we have a breath that we don't have a storm, that's exactly what we're doing, making sure that our most vulnerable population isn't doing this alone. And I would say that the effort overall within the city especially is that this is a concerted effort and everyone is connected to those resources.
Yeah, I think whether you're a snow warrior, a police officer, or a firefighter, these people have a passion for public service, and most importantly, have a passion for the people we serve. And so when you have great resources that Shannon and her team are offering, we're going to take full advantage of that. Taxpayers and residents are investing in those services. They believe protecting the most vulnerable is a top priority, and we want to make sure we're taking full advantage of that. Any other questions? We'll stick around for a few minutes if you guys have anything. Thanks, everybody, for being.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone need any one-on-one time, or are we good?
I think we're
Seems like we covered
good.
everything, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, 4 years ago,